Yeah, my name is Gopal, working as a SQL developer and MSBA developer for last 4 years. So, mm so this is my education background is some MCA. We have to finish my MCA Master of Computers. So this is my career and experience in my job also. So what is your experience and what is your learning? What is something in these sessions?
Actually, thank you very much. Thanks for the introduction. Actually, my name is Naga, and I don't know anything about programming,
Okay.
and I wanted to learn SQL as a developer, but I do have some ERP experience, not on
Yeah.
programming. Basically, I'm a business and functional analyst.
Okay.
I would like to know more about the SQL and how it works, and probably I might have to use these in my coming projects. One of the projects.
Okay.
So currently, I'm absolutely no problem. I'm working and everything fine. So I just want to make sure that in the near future, I may have to work in SQL project, one of the SQL projects we need.
Okay. So
So
it
you
doesn't
can start me as a base. You can consider
yeah.
me as a base, like a startup consultant, and teach me from beginning, from the scratch.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So just increase your volume once.
Sorry.
Just increase your volume. Your voice is very slow.
Oh, okay. I did that. Is it better now?
Yeah, it is better now.
Okay.
So you have any knowledge in SQL?
I don't know anything about SQL. I don't know anything. Basically, I need to start from the beginning, from the scratch.
Okay. Okay. No problem. I will start with the beginning. Okay. So first, today we have to start with some basics, basic level. So we have to start with some basic level, not today. So then we have to start with some complex. What are the concepts in SQL? We have to start with everything. Okay. So what is an SQL? So what is SQL? SQL is, you have to know any SQL abbreviation?
No, it's like a database, I believe, right? SQL database. That's what I understood.
Okay. So it is a standard language for accessing and manipulating database.
What is the Q? What is the abbreviation you said? SQ.
Yeah, SQL is structured query language. Okay.
Okay.
So SQL stands for structured query language. So whenever you have to use this SQL, we have to retrieve the data from a database, insert the records, update the records, delete the records, create a new database, create a new tables. So these are steps we have to perform in this operation in SQL. So this is the manipulation and accessing the database in relational database in SQL. So this is called as a structured query language. So what can SQL do? So what can SQL do? So SQL can execute queries. You have to write the queries against the database. So sometimes you have to use some queries. You have to extracting the data, inserting the data. So these are some queries we have to use. So SQL can retrieve data from a database. These are one you have to use SQL. So SQL can insert records in a database, and SQL can update records from a database. SQL can create new database. So SQL can create new tables in a database. So these are the, so finally SQL can delete the records from a database. So these are the some SQL can do in database. Okay.
Yep.
So what is SQL and what SQL can do? These are the things we have to done in SQL. So we have to start with some SQL server history. So SQL release the version. First version is version 1.0. First version Microsoft we have to release the version is in the year of 1989. First version of SQL Server product of Microsoft released the version. The version name is SQL Server 1.0. So it released by Microsoft. So this is for Microsoft product. So later there is some different versions you have to release. So up to now the latest version of SQL Server is 2012. So I will forward the versions history. Don't worry about this. So version is 12.0. The latest version is 12.0. So in the year of 2014, we have to release. The version name is SQL Server 2014. So it is also a Microsoft product, new products. So this is for RTM product. RTM means you have to release to manufacture. So there is no updated everything. So just we have to sample. We have to release the product of version 12.0. It is not complete version. So we have to test the versions, this version. Then we have to release maybe later 1 year after 1 year or 6 months. We have to release the complete version of SQL Server 2014. So before this version, we have to release 11.0. So this 11.0 version is released in 2010. This is 12.0. 12.0 version. So this is 11.0 version in 11.0. So in this 2010, so this version is called as SQL Server 2012. 12.0, sorry, 2012. So this is also same Microsoft. Okay, so This is 2012 and 2014 are the latest versions in market in SQL Server. So now we have to start with SQL Server 2012 only. In my system, you have to install SQL Server 2012 only. So I will start with SQL Server Developer in 2012. What are the operations you can make in this SQL database? You have to learn from SQL Server 2012 only. Okay. So these are the some history for the SQL Server. So what is the SQL Server editions? So there is a different types of editions. Whenever you have to release the SQL Microsoft as a versions, you have to release the editions also. So what is the editions? So first one is enterprise. So first one is basic version is evaluation version. Evaluation edition. So this is the freeware edition. You have to download for Microsoft's website. So, but there is no options available. Not for more options in SQL Server. So this is for only evaluation. Just you have to create the tables and database only, not for using some very features available. So that is not possible in evaluation editions. So next version we have to Express edition. So this is the second edition of your SQL Server. So these are expression edition. You have to inbuild some features better than evaluation editions. So this is the express edition. So then we have to release the web edition. So afterwards we have to release the work group edition. Then afterwards you have to release the standard edition. So after standard edition you have to release enterprise edition. So this enterprise edition is very more features available in SQL Server. So this enterprise edition you have to work with organization. So we have to use otherwise standard edition, otherwise enterprise edition. So this is some product we have to buy as a Microsoft website. Some dollars you have to purchase this enterprise edition and standard edition. So in this way we have to organization we have to work with enterprises or standard edition mostly. So this is the information, basic information of your SQL Server history and editions and SQL Server and SQL Server what can do. So this is some basic information of your SQL.
Excellent. Actually, I have a question, Venu, here. So when we start working on SQL, like exercise and all, we need to download SQL Server 2012 in the Enterprise Edition, right, from Microsoft?
Yeah.
Okay. So can we?
Yeah. Otherwise, I will have some SQL Server 2012 Enterprise Edition.
Yeah.
I'm purchasing some Microsoft products. So I will share you this Enterprise Edition to your email ID. You have to download from my sharing my Google Drive. So you have to download and install your PC.
Sure, definitely. Yeah.
So please don't share anybody.
Oh yeah, no.
Okay. So why? Because there is some licensed software.
Right, yeah.
So I will just whatever my students only I am sharing this enterprise edition. Okay.
So can you also save this document and send it to me?
Yeah. I will also send every day. I will send also this document also. Whatever the concept we have to concept wise we have to learning every day. So
right.
you have to send along with this notepad also.
Right. Because the notepad is more important than
Yeah.
You don't go and listen to the recording all the time, right?
Yeah. So I will send it everything. Whatever I'm taking the class, whatever I'm writing in notepad. everything I will save and send it after finishing the session.
Sure, sure. Thank you.
So this is some information about SQL Server. So how to install SQL Server? Any idea about installation?
No. Basically, that's what you said, right? We need to go to the Microsoft website and
Yeah.
download and then install.
So don't worry, I will share this enterprise edition 2012. So now please in chat box type your mail ID in GoToMeeting. After complete this session, I will share this SQL Server 2012 enterprise edition. Then you have to download from my Google Drive. I will leave some credentials for your download. So then you have to, after downloading it finish, you have to installation. You have to start. So whatever I'm installation now, we have to tell me this how to install the SQL Server. So we have to start with installation. If it is any problem for the installation, you have to meet on next session. You have to solve your problem.
Sure, definitely.
Okay. So please share your email ID in your chat box in GoToMeeting. Type your email ID.
Yep.
Art 33@gmail.com.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So now you have to start with some installation. So this is from first we have to learn how to installation SQL Server. So actually this is for SQL Server 2012 software enterprise edition. Okay. So whenever I'm attaching this WinRR file. So we have to download this WinRR file. Then we have to right click and extract to SQL Server 2012 enterprise edition. So whenever you have to extract this folder we have to create in your location, in your system location. So in this, double click on this, you have to see there is a setup symbol also. So double click on this setup, it's asking for some installation steps. So now I have some document available, installation steps. So go through this document, you have to install your.
And I need to click on setup or setup.exe. I think usually execution file, right?
Yeah, setup.exe. Sorry.
Okay, you said setup on.
Setup.
No, setup
Not
or
for exe. This is for XML configuration.
Oh,
This
okay.
is for application.
Okay.
So just to click on this, it's asking for some checking for some system configuration. Then we have to start with installation.
Okay.
So I have already have some document available with the screenshots. So where is this document? So otherwise, yeah, you have to see.
You can find out and send it to me later.
Yeah, okay. Later I will find out. So you have to see SQL Server installation center will be open. So click on installation. You have to start with some SQL Server new server standard 11 installation and add feature and existing installation. So otherwise we have to see the web browser. So if it is not understanding for installation, you have to go through your web edition also we have to clear SQL Server 2012 installation steps. So we have to see every with screenshot also. You have to see same window will be open.
Right, right. Oh, great, awesome, very good, sir.
Okay. So go through this website also. We have to easy to installation your SQL Server. So everything is screenshot available. So click the installation for the new SQL Server standard installation and add features and existing. So after clicking on this, we have to searching for supporting files, set up supporting roles. Then we have to asking for evaluation. So this is for evaluation edition. So that's why this is not for enter product key. So whenever I'm sending this enterprise edition, it already defined the product key also. So whenever you have to check this product key as a default, then click on next. So this is for evaluation, not for enterprises. So whatever I'm sending SQL Server, that is for SQL Server 2012 version, so enterprise edition. So the default we have to select enter the product key, whatever the product key available in enterprise edition. So click on next. It asking some license agreement, accept the license terms. So it is checking for installation setup files. So there is not for upgrading some product upgrading. You have to uncheck this option, not for product upgraded. Why? Because it is for enterprise edition, not for evaluation edition. So you have to checking some installation setup files. We have to start with setup supported roles. After everything, we have to start it. So in this, we have to asking for SQL Server feature installation and all features with the default. So first time we have to execute your SQL Server. So that's why you have to use all features with the default. Why? Because this is for SQL Server feature installation only. We have to some custom installation we have to load it. So better we have to use all features with the default. It is no error whenever you have to install SQL Server using all features with the default. Then you have to see all features you have to select it. So in this, click on next. So it asking for default instance and name instance. So what is the default? What is the name instance? We have to discuss later. So first, whenever you have to installation first time in your SQL Server in your PC, first you have to choose default instance. So every SQL Server can take one default instance only. So we can create named instance of 49 named instance we have to create it. So that topic we have to discuss later. So first we have to select the default instance. So these are some default settings. Don't change anything. So click on next. So give the default instance name MS SQL Server. That is name is default. Can't change any the default instance name. So click on next. So you have to require some disk spaces. So how much space we have to require? So some space we want to require for SQL Server. So this is 290, 2924 MB required. So we have to check your hard disk space if it is available or not. Then we have to start with first SQL Server installation. So now this is also some new default setting. Don't change anything. Click on next. So this is click on next. No, not everything. Don't change everything. Just click on next only. So that is the default settings only. So it is after this finishing server configuration, it asking for database engine configuration. So here we have to use two authentication modes. So what is authentication modes? We have to discuss later. So first we have to use Windows authentication mode. So whenever you have to click on Windows authentication mode, so it adding specify SQL Server administrator. Administrator means your system username. So this system username is Shiva. So whenever you have to installation, your system name is, for example, Nag. It displays the directly our current user is Nag some your system name. You have to display. Why? Because this is your administrator of your SQL Server. You have to work with any relational database, work with any operation in SQL Server with this user ID. So that's why it is asking for SQL Server administrator have unrestricted access to the database engine. So that's why you have to add your current user. So you have to click on current, add current user. The user will be created automatically. Your system user, administrator. So it asks you for analysis service configuration. This is for not yours. This is for MSBA analysis service configuration. So otherwise, just open analysis service configuration. Click on. This is for default option, multi-dimensions and data mining mode. So click on add user. Same whatever the before screen we have to add current user. Same thing. We have to click on add current user. Then you have to some reporting service. This is not for yours. This is for also MSBA. So if it is this not this reporting service configuration, this analysis service configuration is not visible, we have to uncheck this option. Whatever this SQL Server data tools. So this SQL Server data tools is your MSBA developer tools. So you don't want these MSBA tools. Why? Because only for a SQL developer only. So if it is, you have to check this option. So these windows will be open. Whatever the analysis, whatever the reporting, windows will be open. Otherwise, you have to uncheck this SQL Server data tools. This configuration windows is not displayed. What is the reporting service, whatever the analysis service. Directly, you have to see this window. Directly go to your distributed relay control. So these two windows is not configured. Whenever you have to uncheck the Microsoft SQL Server data tools. So you have to asking for control name, whatever the control name. You have to give your system name, whatever it is. You have to give the name of your distributed replay client. Then you have to see some error reporting, whatever the any error. Whenever you have to install SQL Server, if it is any error, you have to send this option to this error. You have to report to the Microsoft. So you have to see report to the Microsoft your corporate report server. So this is not required. Leave the default uncheck and click on next. So you have to see finally installation configuration rules you have to download. So these are the all installation SQL Server 2012. Whatever the options you have to select in the first to last. So these are the some pre-CP sites also we have to install. Some .NET framework we have to require. So some PowerShell 2.0. This is for default only. We have to take the SQL Server and installation all the steps. So we have to installation progress. So after finishing this installation progress, complete successfully. Finally, please wait while SQL Server 2000 setup process will be current operation. We have to see all success. If there is any failures, your SQL Server is installed not successfully. So compulsory, its final stage, it is all succeeded. The status is all succeeded. Your SQL Server installation successfully in your PC. Then you have to see all succeeded. Then start with your SQL Server. So whenever you have to open SQL Server, go to Start, All Programs. After finishing the installation, so we have to see the SQL Server 2012. So this is the icon of your SQL Server Management Studio. So click on this, open your SQL Server. SQL Server 2012 Management Studio, Microsoft product. It asking for server name and authentication. So we have to discuss what is authentication. So up to here not.
Yeah, it's clear. Yeah. Basically, authentication means username and password, right? Here in this case.
So authentication is, Windows authentication is your system authentication.
Yep.
Either SQL Server authentication, your SQL Server login names. So whenever you have to create SQL Server logins, you have to create using that particular name and particular password. So
basically, whatever the user ID and password I use to log into my computer, it's the same.
Yeah, that is your Windows authentication.
Right.
So you have to see, this is my Venu. Venu is my user account, my system account. So whenever I am connecting this, you have to see Venu. So this is my computer name. What is my computer name is Venu PC.
Yep. Okay.
So Venu PC here. So what is my username is Venu. So authentication is Venu PC your computer name and Venu is your login name of your computer. That is called as a Windows authentication. So here we have to start with some database, user database, some security, some other options you have to done. So in this SQL Server developer also there is a two different rules, either SQL Server developer and SQL Server DBA. So SQL Server is developer is different, SQL DBA is different. So roles are different.
So we are covering both, right? SQL Server and developer and.
No, SQL Server is different, SQL Server DBA is different. So if you want to require only for SQL Server,
I think developer is good. I think
developer is and SQL DBA and SQL DBA roles are different. SQL Server developer roles are different.
Right, yeah.
So every organization SQL developers are there and SQL DBAs are there. So,
Right.
but the roles are different. So you are starting with SQL Server developer. You are to creating new database, creating a tables, inserting the data, deleting the data, creating some whatever the joins. You have to use some operation. We have to perform this. These roles are in SQL Server developer. Whatever the SQL DBA is roles is some security features, some backups, some whatever the logins you have to create it, some permissions you have to grant it to particular users, some working with some restore backups, and we can take the server backups, and we can take the some high availability concepts working in SQL DB. So these roles are maintained in SQL DB. So these roles are maintained in SQL developer. So this is completely different between SQL Server developer and SQL Server DB. Okay.
Okay.
So now we have to start with SQL Server developer. So how to create a database, how to insert the records, how to delete the database, how to update the database. Some operation we can perform as a developer. Okay. So if it is complete SQL Server developer, if it is any chance to learning for SQL DBA, either SQL Server developer and SQL DBA, you can market in full demand, whatever SQL Server developer and SQL Server DBA.
So what is your role? Are you a developer or
So I'm working as a developer and MSBA developer and SQL developer.
Oh,
So I'm already my previous my career starting with working as a SQL DBA.
okay.
So then we have to move for MSBA developer now. So that's why I'm having knowledge also, working experience knowledge also in SQL DB.
Oh,
Okay. So we have to see the installation steps. The browser. Otherwise, I'm also sharing some documents. So we have to find out and later we have to send it out. Okay.
Okay.
So this is some information about SQL Server concepts and installations. So we have to start with some some authentication mode for this. Choose an authentication. So during I am also take the classes for SQL DBA also. Some students having some SQL DBA students also. So that
Oh, very good, excellent. Okay. First, let's start with this, and if needed, we'll go to the
Yeah, yeah. So better, my suggestion is as a SQL developer and SQL DB is good openings and good. So you are working. So no, don't worry about this. So that is the best option. Whatever the SQL developer and SQL DBA is more advantage in future career purpose.
Okay.
So choose an authentication mode is during a setup you must select an authentication mode for the database engine. So these are two possible modes. What is the most? Windows authentication mode, Windows authentication, and second one is SQL Server authentication or mixed mode authentication. These are the two different modes. So what is a Windows authentication mode? So Windows authentication mode enables Windows authentication and disable SQL Server authentication. Whenever you have to select the Windows authentication, you have to disable the SQL Server authentication. So whenever you have to installation time, whenever you have to select the Windows authentication, your SQL Server authentication, mixed authentication, you have to disable. So, but whenever you have to use mixed authentication, mixed mode enable. This is for only installation time only. So both Windows authentication and SQL Server authentication is enabled. So Windows authentication connect to your system user credential and SQL Server authentication connect to the database engine. Database engine is your SQL Server SSMS. SQL Server Management Studio is also called as database engine.
This is what actually we are using, right, while installing the SQL Server.
Yeah. This is for installation only. We have to use this Windows authentication SQL Server. So based on authentication, we have to connect your SQL Server. So if it is creating SQL Server authentication, we have to create some username and password. Whatever the password, then connect. So why it is not connect? Why? Because I am not using for Windows Server authentication. I am using for Windows authentication only. So that's why it is connecting. So that's for installation steps only. Whatever the SQL Server mixed mode authentication, we are asked for password. So the default mixed mode authentication is SA. So whenever you have to see the installation time, it's asking for SA, the mixed mode authentication. You have to see the specify the password for SQL Server system administrator as a SA. This is the default account, SA account. So you provide password and confirm password whenever you have to connect the SQL Server with SA account. So this is also we have to use Windows authentication. Whenever you have to connect your SQL Server, Windows mixed mode also you have to asking for SA password. So I don't. Whenever I'm installation time, I'm not using SE account. I'm using Windows authentication only. So that's why I'm connecting Windows authentication only. So SA is also some SQL Server administrator, SA account also. So this Windows authentication, that is SQL Server authentication. Okay.
Got it. Okay.
So Windows authentication cannot be your local user credentials. So this is the authentication modes. So next, what are the topics in this installation? So prerequisites. Forget these steps. Prerequisites. So whenever installation before. So what is prerequisite means? So this is for supporting files. Whenever you have to install SQL Server 2012 or any version of your system, these softwares, these tools you have to install start before. So whenever you have to work with SQL Server 2012 installation in your PC, your Windows is Windows 7 or Windows 8?
It's Windows 8.
Windows 8. Okay, no problem. Windows 8. So whenever you have to install Windows 7, you have to asking for whenever you have to install SQL Server 2012, it's asking for Service Pack 1 required in Windows 7. If it is Windows 8, don't asking anything. You have to directly install. So whenever I am see my system, it's asking for Service Pack 1. This is my Windows 7. You have to see there is a Service Pack 1. So compulsory when Windows 7 operating system, you have to install SQL Server 2012. Compulsory in your operating system is required for Service Pack 1.
You know what? Let me check this. Where do we see this? Where did you see this Windows version?
Yeah, computer.
Okay.
Properties. Go to computer, right click, properties.
It's Windows 7 Professional Service Pack 1. Yep, I think it should be good.
So this is my service pack. This is my Windows edition, whatever the Windows edition. So any system we have to work with, we have to know for which operating system we have to use, which service pack we have to use. Go to any system, go to computer, right click, go to properties. We have to see the complete Windows edition. So my Windows edition is Windows 7 Professionals, some service pack 1. So these are the some related information. What is your process? What is your memory? What is your system type? What is your computer name? So what is your Windows is activated or not? So this related information also we have to see in this computer properties. Okay.
Yep.
So first we have to installation prerequisites. For SQL Server. So what are the installation prerequisites is, first we have to install Windows .NET framework.
Oh, okay. We need to install these things first. Okay, before we.
Yeah, first you have to download these frameworks. Otherwise, you have to install your Otherwise, your Windows operating system is 8. This is for all inbuilt. You have to install. So you need not to install again. Not required for this whatever the prerequisite. So these are also whenever you have to installation for the Windows, these prerequisites also installation automatically whenever you have to installation your Windows. So not for
So we don't have to worry about these things.
yeah, don't worry about this prerequisites. If it is any if it is not available any prerequisite, you have to download from Microsoft product. So in your Windows 8, there is not required for installation again this type of prerequisite. Why? Because whenever you have installed SQL Server, whenever you have installed Windows 8, these prerequisites are inbuilt. So why? Because this is for Microsoft product. So Windows 8 and Windows 7 is also Microsoft products. So that's why there is some inbuilt. We have to installation time this prerequisite installation directly.
Okay.
So no need to about this worry about this installation prerequisite. So just you have to remember what are the prerequisites. That's why I mentioned.
Hold on, boss.
So Windows.NET Framework and Windows PowerShell. So just you have to knowledge purpose, we have to define these prerequisites.
Okay.
So .NET Framework 4.0 and .NET PowerShell 2.0. These are the required main prerequisites you have to install your SQL Server 2002. So this is for software installation, software requirements. So hardware requirements. So first one is processor. Processor are important. So processor is it's some my processor we have to see. My processor Intel Core i3. So I think your processor is more than this Core i3. I think your system is Core i3 or i7.
Processor.
Good. Click on computer, right click properties.
Okay. Right click property. My processor is 64-bit operating system. Intel Core i5.
Yeah. Okay. That is not. That is more for installation your SQL Server. So better we have to process this Pentium. This is for default. Some low level Pentium 3 processor we have to require. So but my and your processor are Pentium Core i5. So there is more you have to install your SQL Server. Pentium i3 are more data, more processor. So this more processors is i3, i7, etc. So memory, RAM, it required minimum is 1 GB or maximum is 3 GB. So your RAM size, you have to see the RAM size here also. RAM.
RAM size. I think 6 GB. 6 GB RAM.
6 GB. Oh, it is more. No, it is very fast. You are working with SQL Server. So my system RAM is 3 GB. So hard disk. So asking for hard disk 4 GB,
Hard disk 4 GB, okay.
some minimum 4 GB or maximum is 10 GB hard disk space. So my hard disk space is totally this is for 100 GB, this is for 150 GB, this is for 220. So totally 500 GB I think. 2, 3, 4, yeah 5. 500 GB my hard disk. So whenever you have to install your SQL Server in C drive, it's asking for 10 GB, 4 GB is minimum space required, and maximum is 10 GB. So my C drive is free space is 56 GB. So it is easy to install your SQL Server.
Okay.
Okay. So these are some information to the MS SQL Server. Yeah, if there any questions,
No, I think good. It's very clear.
it's clear.
Yeah.
So today start here this session. Tomorrow we have to start with some other topics. Okay.
Tomorrow, what time we meet? Actually, I told Samir Thursday is a travel day for me.
Okay.
So what time we can meet? At 9 o'clock may not be possible. Either maybe 10 o'clock, is it good? 10 o'clock Eastern time, 1 hour later.
We have to talk with some man. So I will update whatever the timings.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Because tomorrow, usually, I already told in the beginning itself, Thursdays are travel days for me. So.
Okay. Just whatever the time you have to free, please mention your mind. Then mind update to me.
Sure, definitely. Okay.
Okay. Bye now.
Very good. Thank you very much, Venu, and you have a wonderful night. Talk to you.
Okay.